Right, I've got a couple of days free to work on the van, and due to the aforementioned engine faults I've had with the head gasket, you've probably seen that video. I mentioned I wanted to remove the sump so that I can inspect and assess the standard of work done to the bottom end, i.e. check the main caps are torqued up, remove the pistons, check the rings have been installed correctly, etc, etc. You get the picture, just for peace of mind. Now, removing the sump is no mean feat on this, because studying the book, let me just zoom out actually, that's better. In order to remove the sump, the steering tie rod has to come off. You see that clutch cover there, that semicircular shaped thing, that has to be removed as well. And I've got to slightly raise the rear of the engine with a jack under the gearbox after I've loosened the engine to gearbox bolts. So it's quite an involved job actually, but needs must. I want to do it. I'd rather do it and get it all done now. So this video will be filmed over the course of a few days, because that's how long it's going to take. Now, I've got here my favoured ball joint splitter. First time I've ever used this actually. I've never had to do anything with ball joints they're out like that before. And that's my favoured one. And then move on to the tuning fork style, you see. I was able to use this on the near side. The near side ball joint, you see. Loosen that, that's fine. It actually come off quite easily. It didn't put up much of a fight, so that was fine. It's just a taper fit, you see. This thread under there, it's a taper fit. So all it has to do is just crack that off and loosen it. Unfortunately, on this side, I'm going to have to use the tuning fork because the other splitter won't fit in. I've tried it and it's too big. Space is too tight there. I always make a habit of trying the least destructive method first, which is this, of course, before moving on to more potentially injurious methods such as this, because I'm going to have to give that a good whack. But I've got the hide mallet that I'm going to start off with, and if that fails to shift it, I'll move on to an ordinary £2 hammer. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'll remove that and probably the cover and take it from there. So I've removed that steering tie rod, also the clutch cover there. That came off. There were only 4 bolts, part of the gear change mechanism. Just waiting for the sump to drain. The drain plug, it's actually a size none of my sockets will fit, so I had to get the nearest one. Yeah, I need to try and find out what size that is, but I took that cover off. Here's the tie rod, you see. Now I noticed that them ball joints, they're not replaceable or adjustable. By the looks of it, that's just a complete assembly. So if anything went wrong with them, presumably you'd have to renew the complete tie rod as one piece. Fortunately, they've got grease nipples. I'm gonna, while these are off, I'll clean them up actually, and I'll renew the dust boots if they're damaged. But I was going to mark it to show the near side, but there's already, it looks like an N. I don't think it is an N, but it looks like one, so I'm using that to reference it as being from the near side, you see. So while the oil's draining, and it didn't come flooding out as I thought it might do, it just come out. Even when I removed the plug, it just started as a trickle. It's nearly stopped now, but the sump's supposed to hold 7.5 pints, something like that. This is catching the wind there. It's quite a windy day today. What was I gonna say? Yeah, it was quite low on the dipstick anyway. Well, I'll just give that 15 minutes to finish draining, because it is cold, of course, cold oil, so it's not going to flow as easily. And then I can start removing the sump. Well, I managed to actually find the size in one of my sort of scrap socket sets. I should really check if I've got all these. I threw the rest of the set away because it were no good really. For some reason I just kept them and left them outside. Every man needs a junk pile. It always comes in handy one day, you see. So it is 1 1/4. Presumably that's 1 1/4 AF. I would have thought so. Anyway, it fits, it does the job. Perfect. Right, sump's drained. I've just loosened all the sump retaining bolts, and I'm gonna leave it at that today because the where was it now? A18 here. The manual is quite explicit. Well, it calls it an oil pan. That'll be because it's General Motors as the parent company, so there's a lot of American terminology in here. It's what we in Britain know better as a sump. But the oil pan, drain the oil pan, disconnect the centre tie rod, yeah, done that. Disconnect the gear control rods, done that. Remove the clutch housing. I'm on step 5 really. Well, I've sort of skipped 5 and 6, and I've just slackened off those sump securing bolts. It's quite late in the afternoon now, and it's quite windy, so I'm going to save this for tomorrow. From my experience, as much as I would like to try and just remove the bolts and try and take the sump off, from my experience there are no such shortcuts. Otherwise it wouldn't be so explicit in here of raising the transmission and engine to give a bit more clearance. So that's fine. I want to do it in one fell swoop, so I'll be back on it tomorrow. I don't want to get the sump off now, leave it overnight, and it's a windy day, have all sorts of dust and dirt blowing into it and clinging to the oil inside. So I'll get up in the morning, I'll make a start on it, but right now I'm gonna drain that old engine oil into a receptacle for the tip. I'll clean up, and then I want to go to the pub. So I'll be back again shortly, suitably refreshed. Right, this is the present situation. 3 jacks, and this has been an absolute swine to remove the sump. I've had to resort now to just removing the bolts for that engine mount, because the sump will not clear. It would not clear the oil pump, the pickup there. So hopefully it'll come off now, but I've been fucking about with this for over an hour now. It's just been a nightmare of a job. The sump was, again, Mr. Bodger has been at it with the silicone sealant. It was like it was glued, stuck fast to the block. So as you can see, I've had to prise that with excess force, really, just to break that bond. Anyway, hopefully it'll be coming off now. Let's see. So now the sump is off, I'm able to closely look at it, examine it, and it is a bit of a worry, because there's some metal shavings in there, which is not good at all. Yeah, that's very, you can see that there. That is not good at all. Looks like someone has bodged this up terribly. Let me see now here. Otherwise, I mean, that, I'm not going to see anything with it like this, just with the sump off. That's why I did it, to remove. I'm definitely removing number 4, conrod and piston. I'll examine that. I'll check. I'm not going to remove the mains, that's too much. I doubt I can do it anyway with the engine in. That really is an engine out job, which I'm not prepared to do. I'll check the torques. This oil pump pickup, I think that should be adjusted a bit further down, because it's a spring fitting, that gauze strainer in the sump. So I'll be looking at that, adjusting that. What else? I don't know. I mean, it's hard, really, without getting it out of the van and stripping it on the bench, which I'm not doing. But you can see all this shit, this silicone bollocks that's been put everywhere. It's just, I mean, look at that. It's total crap. So if I come round again, yeah, that should definitely be a bit farther down, which is fine. I'll just slacken that off. disappointed, very disappointed. That's just a bit of cork off the broken gasket, but this shit, it's been put everywhere. I mean, you imagine that falls off into the sump. Yeah, it'll probably be stopped by the mesh there, but imagine that gets into an oil where you just do not use this stuff on an engine at all. I don't know why anyone does it. It's just, yeah, I worry when I see that. For good reason. I've got the torque figures here, so I'll go around with the clicker. Conrod bolt nuts, unusually low figure of 22 pound-foot. That does seem rather low, but that's what it says. That's what I'll set it to. And the mains are 58. Now I need to see if there should be any locking tabs on those bolts on the caps, because I didn't see any. So I'm just going to carry on with this now. Then I think after that I'll call it a day, because it's just the struggle with the sump and everything. It's just ended up pissing me off today. So when I feel like that, it's time to walk away from things. So next time, I don't know, might have a look at that piston, might film that, but I just want to get it done now and up and running again, really. It's been off the road for far too long. I just want to get it fixed and start driving it again. So I don't know, just have to wait until the next video, whatever that might be.